All right, let's talk about something that's, well, it's absolutely fundamental to making the web work for everyone. It's all about designing content that adapts to the user, not forcing the user to adapt to the content.
I think we've all been there, right? You're on your phone. Or maybe you've zoomed into a website to actually read the tiny text, and you're trapped.
It's that awful little dance. Scroll right to read a sentence, scroll all the way back left to find the next line, scroll right again. You lose your place, you get tired, and honestly, it's a huge pain and a massive barrier to just reading something.
Well, thankfully, there is actually a rule for this, a web standard designed to kill this exact problem. It's officially called WCAG Success Criterion 1.4.10, but we can just call it Reflow. The big idea here is simple, but it's so powerful. When you magnify a page, the layout should, well, reflow. It should rearrange itself so everything is still perfectly readable with just one direction of scrolling, top to bottom. No more of that side-to-side nonsense.
Okay, so the standard gets super specific. It all comes down to this one magic number, 320. That's 320 CSS pixels. To pass, your content has to reflow and fit into that width without falling apart. But why 320? Where did they even get that number from? So here's where it comes from. Imagine someone with low vision using a pretty standard 1280 pixel wide monitor. If they zoom in to 400% to make the text readable, guess what? The visible part of the screen they can see is now only 320 pixels wide. Your design has to work just as beautifully in that tiny space as it does on a huge screen.
And this is so important to get. This isn't just about some technical checkbox. This one rule has a massive, real-world impact on how millions of people can actually use the web.
The World Wide Web Consortium, the people who make these rules, they put it perfectly. For anyone who needs to magnify text, that constant back and forth scrolling isn't just a little annoying. It's a major source of physical and mental strain. It can make reading exhausting. But when you get reflow right, the benefits are huge and immediate. Reading just flows. It becomes this smooth, top-to-bottom experience. It's way easier to keep your place, you don't have to work nearly as hard, and suddenly the web is just open to more people. It's as simple as that. So let's see what this looks like in action. We're talking about taking these principles and turning them into designs we see every day. And really, this is where responsive design becomes this super powerful tool for accessibility. Okay, this is the classic example, right? On a big desktop screen, you might have, say, 3 columns of content side by side. But as you zoom in or maybe shrink the window, watch what happens. Those columns intelligently stack one on top of the other. And that big navigation bar, instead of breaking everything, it just neatly tucks itself away into a little hamburger menu. No information is lost, it's just reorganized. Now, the WCAG standard is smart. It's pragmatic. It knows that for some kinds of content, you need that two-dimensional layout for it to make any sense at all. I mean, think about it. You can't just stack the columns of a big, complex data table and expect anyone to understand it. Same goes for a map, or a video player, or a presentation slide. For these specific things, yeah, two-dimensional scrolling is allowed. Okay, but listen up, because this is the single most important detail about these exceptions. The exception is like a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. It applies only to the specific piece of content that needs it, like that data table, and not to the entire page around it. So here's what you absolutely don't want to do. See this? A wide data table is forcing the entire page to scroll sideways. Now those simple paragraphs of text above and below the table, they're stuck in that same scroll trap we were trying to escape. This is a total fail. And this is how you do it right. Notice how the main text on the page, the paragraphs and headings, they still reflow perfectly. That wide data table, it lives inside its own little box, its own container, with its own horizontal scroll bar. You can play with the table all you want without ruining the reading experience for the rest of the page. That's the win. So, when we boil all of this down, what's the one thing you really need to remember? What's the guiding principle here? It really just comes down to this. Prioritize one-directional scrolling. That's it. Vertical scrolling feels natural. It's what we expect. Adding a horizontal scroll should always be a very deliberate, very contained choice for one specific thing, not an accident that affects the whole page. And in the end, that's really the question at the heart of Reflow, and honestly, all of web accessibility.
Does your design bend for your users, or does it force them to break? A great design is flexible. It adapts to people's needs. A bad one is rigid, and it forces people to struggle. So which one are you building?